Rebecca is the protagonist who is talking to her baby while caressing her belly. She begins to remember her childhood, where she visited her grandfather's house on the shores of the beach and met a boy named Thomas. They became very close and began to spend every day together. At the end of their vacation, Rebecca told Thomas that she was going to live in Japan, and he kissed her goodbye. 12 years later, Rebecca returns to her harbor town and visits her grandfather's house. She goes to Thomas' house to meet him, but his mother tells her that the boy no longer lives there. She gives her the address of Thomas' new home, where she enters and sees a woman lying on the floor reading a book. As she is about to leave, Thomas appears, and they recognize each other almost immediately. The next day, Thomas calls Rebecca and they spend some time talking on the beach. Thomas tells her that he is broken up with his girlfriend now that Rebecca is back in town. Later, they go to dinner at Rebecca's house. The next day, they both have fun running on the beach, and Thomas tells her that he will have a trip in a few days. Rebecca asks him about the surprise he had prepared the day before she travels to Japan, and Thomas shows her a matchbox with a snail they collected when they were little. Thomas explains that he has plans to sabotage a polluting company with his group of environmental activists. He takes Rebecca to a room where he has a huge cockroach farm and tells her that they will release them in the factory. Thomas sets off on the trip with Rebecca, but as they travel, she hears the sound of crash and finds Thomas' lifeless body. A few days later, Rebecca finds a note in the matchbook Thomas had left her. She goes to his funeral, and upon seeing a flower, she gets an idea. She meets with Thomas' father and shows him a form of genetic cloning by pregnancy. Rebecca explains that it would be she herself who would give birth to Thomas. Father accepts her proposal and tells her to raise Thomas in that town. Rebecca undergoes the medical procedure to give birth to Thomas. On her way out, she is spotted by the woman who used to be Thomas' girlfriend and tells her that the procedure is immoral. Rebecca replies that it is that same luck that gives them to the opportunity to bring Thomas back. The next day, Rebecca meets with Thomas' father and he accepts her proposal. He tells her to raise Thomas in that town since he loved the sea and will surely love it again when he is born again. In addition, he tells her that they are going to leave the city. He gives her the option to change her mind, but Rebecca decides to go through with the medical procedure to give birth to the love for her life. On the way out, she is spotted by Tommy's former girlfriend. Days later, Rebecca gives birth to Tommy through a cesarean section. She walks with the baby on the beach, and before she knows it, Tommy is already the same age he was when they met. Tommy asks Rebecca about his father, but she does not know how to tell him the truth, so she says his father died in a car accident. One day, Rebecca sees Tommy with his friend Eric and a little girl named Dima. Rebecca invites the girl over to play with Tommy, but she refuses. The next day, Rebecca is invited to a meeting with Dima's mother and teacher, who ask her not to confuse the girl and keep Tommy away from her. The teacher explains that Dima is the result of artificial insemination, similar to Rebecca's case. Rebecca organizes a birthday party for Tommy, but the other children never arrive, causing Rebecca to break down in tears. They later go to the beach, where Tommy falls in love with the sea, just as he did in the past. Back at home, Rebecca gives Tommy a toy dinosaur, which he names Boo Boo. They are later interrupted by their neighbor Mark, who becomes fast friends with Tommy. One day, Tommy asks Rebecca about his father's death, and she tells him the story. Years pass, and Tommy is now an adult, romantically involved with Monica. Rebecca feels hurt and can't explain her feelings to Tommy. Tommy even asks for Monica to move in with them, to which Rebecca agrees. At first, things are a bit awkward between Rebecca and Monica, but as time goes on, tensions rise between everyone until Tommy's real mother shows up, perplexed to see the exact replica of her son. Tommy demands an explanation, but no one speaks up. At night, Tommy goes to Rebecca's room for answers, but she does not give him any explanation. Tommy goes to the bathroom to be alone, and the next day, He and the three of them have a tense breakfast. His son starts to get irritated and Rebecca can see he's upset. He leaves the room and the two women are left alone confused. Later, the two women knock on the bathroom door because Tommy has locked himself in for a bath. He does not answer, and when he comes out, Monica leaves with all her things. Tommy goes to Rebecca's room and asks her to explain what's going on. Rebecca tries to tell him everything, but he gets desperate and asks her to get to the point. She gets up and goes to get the computer he used in his past life. He sees all the pictures and videos and starts to tie things together. He realizes his whole life has been a lie and that his mother was actually the love of his life in his past life. Tommy climbs into Rebecca's bed and they unload all the love and tension they had since he was little. When they finish, Tommy gathers all his things and says goodbye to Rebecca, calling her by name for the first time. The movie ends here. If you liked this movie recap, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.